Will The Office make a comeback? That's the question for today. But before I dive into it, hi, my name is Jacob Airy. Welcome to my vidcast StudioJake, where I talk about all things pop culture, from television to film to anime to novels and so much more. Be sure to like this video, share it out with all your friends, leave me a comment. I really appreciate it. And also, subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs. I'm over 910, and so every single click of that subscription button really helps me out. Once I get to 1,000, I'm going to do a Ask Me Anything live stream where I'll be reading from the YouTube chat. So any and all clicks really helps me out. Thank you so much to everyone who already has and everyone who will. All right, diving right in. So, just the other day on my website, StudioJakeMedia.com, I talked about how reboots are overused in Hollywood, not just as a term, because the term is overused, but also just the amount that is happening. And it's so funny, I didn't even touch on television reboots. I primarily focused on film, but it's happening again, and this time one of the most beloved sitcoms of all time, The Office, is in the crosshairs. Now, The Office holds a special place in my heart. Me and my sister, we used to watch The Office every day. We had a local NBC station that would play it and she and I would watch it. I don't know why my parents let us get away with it. Typically, something with promiscuous humor like The Office wouldn't be allowed, being pastor's kid, but they let us watch The Office. And then, of course, when I started going to college, and we moved. We were originally living in the DFW area. We moved to the Golden Triangle area of Texas, and she and I continued watching it. And we watched it even when I went off to seminary. So I was in California for a number of years. She and I would still watch the new episodes together. She would always be one episode behind because of just her own college work and whatnot. And that was how we bonded. One of the big ways we bonded as siblings was over how terrible the last two seasons were without Michael Scott being played by Steve Carell. So, turns out, though, that NBC, despite this comedy series being a huge cultural phenomenon, producing so many memes and inside jokes and quotations, and, it pretty much smashes everything in between. That's what she said. And it really brings out, just how office life in general can be. It's, I worked in an office, not in any one as zany as the one in Dunder Mifflin, but still it can be pretty mundane. And that was one of the genius things behind The Office, was that they could take something mundane and make it funny, similar to Seinfeld, although Seinfeld was more about how, nothing is, it's a show about nothing. The Office is a show about something, but still took that idea that the mundane can be funny and blew it up. And sadly, Greg Daniels, who, by the way, is a fantastic showrunner, he's a good writer. He has been behind Parks and Recreation, another favorite sitcom of mine, King of the Hill, which I didn't discover until it was uploaded to Hulu. It was on when I was a kid, so I wasn't allowed to watch it, again, being a pastor's kid. So I didn't really discover the King of the Hill till I was an adult, and I freaking loved it. And he is behind the reboot, but I just can't help but think that this is going to be a red herring, and it's going to be a disastrous, woke, politically correct, which The Office was politically correct in a broader sense, but it never caved to sort of the woke mind virus, which was developing, especially toward the end of the series. So this is from notthebee.com. Let's see, The Office is one of the funniest, greatest, most beloved TV shows of all time, so why not completely tarnish that legacy by rebooting the show and ruining what was a great thing? I know this isn't some spin-off they're doing in Saudi Arabia or Australia. As if ending the show after Michael left wasn't bad enough. The original American Office showrunner wants to bring the show back again. I think she meant not ending the show after Michael stopped. after Michael left. Well, the good news is that the original U.S. creator, Greg Daniels, is set to return. The bad news is, can a reboot of The Office, one of the most beloved comedies ever made, actually be good without tainting the original? And where would it air in 2023? Peacock? I mean, I can see why Greg Daniels would want to get even more money out of the show. It's absolute gold and people will watch. But a reboot? Why can't we just let the show stand on its own? Why do we have to reboot everything? Okay, so I'm not going to read the rest of the article because I want you to go to notthebee.com and read it. This was an article by the writer Holly Ash. So I totally agree with Holly here. Let sleeping dogs lie. We don't need to have a reboot of everything. It's so sad because even Star Trek's legacy has been sort of tainted by this. Now, I tend to not be as harsh on the Kelvin trilogy as a lot of other Trekkers. I tend to see them for what they are and not what I want them to be. That being said, no, Chris Pine is not as good a Kirk as William Shatner. That's just a fact. It's objective. And I just don't see how The Office is going to continue in such a way as going forward, especially in this climate where studios cave to weirdos on social media, these woke snowflakes who have to control everything, who are gonna get mad. They're the ones who go back and watch old episodes of Friends and criticize, a show that was on in the 90s. They were like, oh, I'm Gen Z and I know better because I watched a clip on TikTok and that joke was so off color. Like, spare me, okay? And I just think even with Greg Daniels returning, I don't see it going the right way. I know I hate to say that, but it just seems like a lot of the original creators that were involved in all this have been sellouts. Let's be real. I mean, think about Neil Gaiman when Netflix started producing Sandman. Fans of his original comic series didn't receive it that well. And what did he do? Did he back up the fans? No, he threw a little hissy fit on X. Back then it was called Twitter, and basically called them all sorts of names, called them istophobes, all this nonsense. I guess the check from Netflix cleared. And, we see the same thing happening with Star Wars. I mentioned Star Trek. There have been so many other examples. Percy Jackson is another new example where they're race swapping and gender swapping characters. And fans of the original books are like, hey, what's going on here? Like, why can't we keep it original? And then the author completely throws them under the bus. Even though they're the ones who made his books best-selling, no, he's going to attack his fans, his built-in fan base. Well, guess what they're not going to do? Watch the new remake that no one cares about. And I hate to say that, but I see that in the forecast for The Office. Now, it could be wrong. The Greg Daniels, like I said, is a genius. He's a creative genius. In my opinion, when he left The Office, that's when the show kind of started to deteriorate. It was too early, because Steve Carell was still there and he was delivering his command performance as Michael Scott. But when he left, that's when we started to see the holes in the ship, as if it were. But who knows? Maybe with his comeback, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll bring it back. It'll be a new generation of characters. Jim and Pam are off in Texas with Daryl. Michael Scott, he's living with, he's married to Holly. He's off somewhere. Dwight and Angela are running their beet farm. Toby is still in New York trying to write the great American novel. Ryan and Kelly Kapoor, they're off doing their thing. And so all that's left are the new characters that they introduced. We know Creed's in jail, right? So did I get everyone? Oh, Kevin's running his bar now. So whatever the case may be, I think that it's just going to depend if he's going to cave to pressure from weirdos on social media or if he's actually going to sit down and write the show and continue on what made it great. There is always a possibility. Continuations and spin-offs have been successful. Frasier comes to mind. There's going to be a new Frasier show, which I am actually pretty excited about. The trailer does look funny, so pretty stoked about that one. But with The Office, it's just teetering on the edge. And NBC, they've been cowards before. I mean, think about when Brooklyn Nine-Nine was on Fox. It was one of the funniest cop comedies I've ever seen. And then when it moved to NBC, immediately it craters. You know, Fox tends to let their writers be braver, which maybe not now that Disney owns that 20th Century Studios block, but who knows? Like I said, could be wrong, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not holding my breath, especially if Steve Carell is not part of the project. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, that you'll leave me a comment, tell me what you think, that you'll share it out with your friends, and of course, consider subscribing to StudioJake. I cover all kinds of nerd and pop culture topics, including film, television, anime, comic books, and so much more. I hope that you'll also head over to my main website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more news, views, and commentary. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, head over to my locals page. That's studiojakemedia.locals.com. It's the best way to support me. I'm trying to build a little community there. I have exclusive reviews and articles, so definitely head over there and check it out. And I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.